Ladies and gentlemen, Season 12 is upon us here for the Simrigs Sprint Series. Hello everybody, my name is Nick Amon and I am here to welcome you in to another exciting season of Sprint. This time it is going to be EU on the chopping block today here. Drivers at the moment still just making their way around the circuit as it stands. We're still in practice, of course. So we'll be hopefully getting out there very, very soon. For right now, though, I gotta remember my keybinds, because I don't. I haven't played this game in about, a while. I've not really opened. There we go, that's what I was looking for. Alright. But we're in. The Season 12 of this beloved Sprint Series is finally here. We've got a lot to go over before we get into things, so perfect timing, of course, with first practice here. 37 drivers signed up for this season. Currently 25 have marked attendance. We're just missing a couple people out on track here today. We got some returning champions. Obviously, the man who absolutely decimated EU, who already run bouts here, coming back to defend his title. He had quite a margin last season and will be sticking with Honda. So he has shown his loyalty to the Japanese manufacturer, and he's going to keep it going. Of course, the punt zone, always at the back of the car. Looking over at the Pro-Ams, it was Tully. Unfortunately, he is not present for Season 12, so you could argue that Yvonne Cairns, who we were just looking at not too long ago, was the defending champ for the Pro-Am category. So he'll be looking to maybe pick that class win up, especially seeing as his main rival isn't present. So for him, that's very, very good. And then looking at the amateur class, it is Hansen, who is currently running 7th. Surprisingly, is unranked for the time being, but I am sure that that'll be swapped over soon enough. But yeah, we're just getting towards the end of qualifying, or the end of free practice, excuse me. How is everybody doing today? It has been quite a while since I have seen you very, very beautiful people at our broadcast. We had some changes going on. One of the such changes that I'm very happy about. For those of you that don't know, we allowed custom liveries last season, and we're doing it again this season, of course. But the thing is that when it came to syncing everything up, it was a little bit of a pain. Because you had to download everything, and then you had to go ahead, and I think the server just died on us. Or maybe I died on the server. Yeah, I did. Okay. Anywho. So we have all of the, the skins I gotta get downloaded. It's a big pain. But, yes, there it is. We have all died. Nice. So we'll sit here and just refresh. But we have a tool now made by Glenn Germain. Shoutouts to him. It syncs every single livery across every split. You just got to select what you want, click sync now, and you're good to go. So for someone like me, who's in the booth, it makes my life a lot easier. I don't have to sit here and, constantly get things back going every week, having some new skins to download. But yeah, server restart. Sync tool is wondrous, and it's also available for the drivers, of course, not just us in the booth. We can get the game to work, por favor. I mean, it's the start of a new season. Can you really be surprised? There are problems all over the place. There we go. Now we're cooking with fire. All right, so on the topic of new drivers, of course, we've got. Respond to one of our community members. No, so new drivers. So we have 37 drivers on the grid. 15 new arrivals, surprisingly. We've got Pico, who is not here, unfortunately. Doesn't look like. Doyle, Stafford, Stivanella, a name that we're going to get to. There's a name after that I wanted to mention. Velikov, Sauto, Abelstead. We've got my handwriting. Alberg, Korsman, D'Angelio, Rose, Hutton, and a couple others. I need to rewrite everything, but one name I want to mention is none other than this man right here, Simon Bauer. Now, some of you may hear that name and go, well, who in the world is Simon Bauer? And some of you are going to look and go, ah, Simon Bauer. Mr. Bauer here was in the booth with me last season, and really a lot of fun I had with him. Very knowledgeable about the game, very skilled at what he does. He does actually race for an esports organization, so that's why he was a very valuable asset. But this time he's putting the mic down, he's picking up the steering wheel in the Honda. Honda, very popular choice at the moment. I know there was a bit of a BOP change, I think. Some cars got moved around in terms of power. I don't think the Honda was all too affected. One new driver, of course, Rasmus Abelstedt from Sweden, in a beautifully made Milwaukee Lamborghini. Do I mess with Milwaukee? I do. A little bit. I like the tools. Tools are very good. Isaac Oberg, as we get a nice view of Doyle. Actually, one of the drivers we were just talking about, one of the new arrivals from Hungary. Oh, sorry, that's Malikov. I'm clicking the wrong person. Doyle from Great Britain. But it's going to be interesting. James Hutton as well from the wonderful island nation. Ippolito makes a return. Vinogradov. Now, this was a driver who joined, I think, late last season, or missed the first couple of races, and came out swinging. This guy, incredibly fast. Oh my god, my thing's messed up. Is Vinogradov not actually here? Am I seeing things? Oh my god, I am. It's broken again. No, he's up there in the Porsche. What? He's gone? That's a very sleek livery. He's gone from the McLaren to the Porsche. Okay, it looks like my broadcast tool is having a bit of a fit right now. Standard practice. But hopefully we'll be getting into quali shortly enough. There we go, it's fixed. But tonight is the Super Sprint here at Paul Ricard. So let's take a quick moment to actually talk about the schedule I would like to mention. So we have this race, obviously, at Paul Ricard. Is a Super Sprint. Then next week is Bathurst. That's going to be a non-competition round. We'll talk about that. And then Brands Hatch after that. A mini Enduro at Misano. Snetterton's beyond that. Suzuka will be the next Super Sprint of the season. And then Imola, another non-competitive round. And then we have the finals at Donington, Hungary, and Barcelona. I know AP is going to be doing that. I'm curious as to whether or not NA and EU are going to do it. But we should probably talk about the Super Sprint format. Of course, there's going to be people watching either right now or later, if you're one of those people, thank you so much, who are probably new to OOR and don't really know what the Super Sprint format is. So the way it's going to work is we have two splits here tonight, or two races, excuse me. You're going to have a 20-minute sprint race, sort of like your standard pub lobby type of deal. And then after that, that's going to actually set us up for a 40-minute round following that. So we have our first round of qualifying, actually right now, perfect timing. Good job to the boys running the server. Nice 8 a.m. qualifying session for the cars. But what is going to happen is we have a 10-minute qualifying right now. This will set us up for race number 1. We're going to go through race 1, 20 minutes. The top 12 drivers are going to get reverse grid ordered. So if you finish in first, you're going to start 12th. Second is 11th. Third is 10th, so on and so on until everyone gets swapped around. The drivers from 13th and beyond, they're going to go out for a second qualifying round, 7 or 8 minutes. We kind of flip-flop, it feels like, each season. And they'll set the rest of the grid. What that's going to do is when we get to the starting procedures, once drivers are allowed to hit drive, the safety car is going to pull away, and the race director is going to be calling out car numbers in order of reverse grid, and they're going to line up behind the safety car. We'll see if we can get a straight line. Sometimes we get a straight line, sometimes we don't. It's just a matter of, you know, do the drivers feel like cooperating? And at that point, the rest of the rest of the cars will follow, and from there, it'll be go time. Oscar Stafford, another new name here in the Sprint Series, joining us, of course, from Australia. I'm not quite certain what time it is down there. I know that Australian Eastern Daylight is 16 hours ahead, so I'm going to assume he could be from there, because everything prior to that's a little ridiculous, but then again, it is Friday, so we'll see. Igor Niedzielski, another name here, returning to the OOR. Fredrickson, back in the Aston Martin. Yvonne Cairns, of course, Braun livery for the McLaren. That was very sleek. Rumbouts, though, he was the first one out, so we'll be riding on board with him. for the first lap. 6 minutes for quali. Thank you, Kevin. Call you Simon. Speaking of Simon, he's getting ready to start his lap. So, Rumbouts. Season 11 champion, and he is starting his first lap here of qualifying. Paul Ricard down the front straight here, brake just at about the 100, punching the cones entirely optional. Kiss that inside corner, and don't get too eager on the inside there on the right. It is going to spin you out. You're going to stick here to the left side as far over as you go, and just about a little after the 100, your brake marker, throw it on through this little right-left complex. Very technical, very difficult to get just right. It's a lot of feel. And then you gotta run this one as wide out as you can. Cut it in close. Try to get the power down early. There's a little bit of a slide there on the Honda. And then it is gonna be 24 seconds of driving in a straight line, ladies and gentlemen. I have counted, I have checked. It's about 23, 24, depending on your exit. Welcome in, Carlo. Welcome in, Kevin, Mateo, Tully. Good to see you again. Tufo, Terry. How is everybody doing here this afternoon or evening, wherever you may be joining us from the world? But as we get towards the end of the straight, a little brake tap, let it coast through the corner, pick it on up. The beauty of Paul Ricard is being situated in the Castellet on a plateau. This track, obviously, as you can tell, very, very flat. Sort of like my jokes when I try to tell them how they just land. But Rumbout's doing a very good job. Late apex here. Following that long right-hander. Seems to keep going. You can sort of treat it as a double apex. And now, keep it close on the right side. As you pull away from the curb, you're going to get off the gas. A little bit of brake, couple downshifts. And you get into this final corner here. Again, something that I tend to struggle with. And as you come out of here, you are going to get the power down as early as you can. So we'll see what the bar is here as Rumbouts comes across the line. A 155.43 for him. Simon Bauer just behind. Leapfrogs 54.79. There's the first 54. A little over half a second. Could this be a sign of things to come? I'm not going to call it yet. Of course, brakes and tires have to get up to temperature. Carlo, sorry to hear you're not racing next week, though. Don't worry. And, of course, Moritz, good to see you again as Rumbouts goes off the beaten path. So right here, Eugene Vinogradov from Russia. Incredibly talented driver. Always a blast to have him. That livery looks amazing along with the pink lights. I am a huge fan of that. Bart Boschart here back once again. Another season for him in Pro-Am. Very impressive stuff last season. Incredibly consistent driver. We saw him decently bid up. And we'll see if he can repeat that success later on the track. Vinogradov is second overall, though. 55.38, getting out of the way of the McLaren and a couple other people. The start of the season is always rough because usually by like the end of the season I'm like, oh, I know everybody, we're good to go. The start's always rough. I gotta learn the liveries, I gotta see what people look like. Briscoe joining us here from Portugal, another debutant here in the Sprint Series in the McLaren. Very popular pick, especially here at Paul Ricard. When you get actually to just about here where Stafford's going through right now, this long right-hander, a lot of downforce, and just behind him, if I'm not mistaken, I believe, is that Cuthbert? No, it's not. Oh, it might be Starkey, actually. No, we are going to find that livery. It is Cuthbert. That is, I have that same livery. The only difference is I haven't driven it through what appears to be, I would say, probably half of the zombies in The Walking Dead. Rusted up looking McLaren, but still God, that's an amazing, beautiful livery, of course. A lot of creativity from these drivers, I must say. Moritz, the livery sync worked out perfectly as far as I can tell. I don't know if there's anything I'm missing. If I am, I'll probably fix it next week. But it is working beautifully. Send my regards over to Glenn. If he's asking for a pint, tell him he's not getting a pint. He's going to get a whole liter on me. But let's look around the grid, see what's new. Fredrickson, of course, rocking Pennzoil, Boschart, beautiful little fractal design. Ippolito, another driver who we've seen here last season, is in the Aston Martin. Appears to have a little bit of a fan base going on in chat right now, looks like. Nice bright green Cuthbert. We just saw Terry I assume I did not download the livery on this one unless he's going with the matte black finish, which honestly, on the AM, looks very sleek. Another debutant here, Niedzelsky. Same livery he was running last season. Abelstead as well, we just talked about earlier. Starkey, looking like he's ready to go to a bit of a rave right now. Still 2-3 minutes to go. Evan Cairns in the Braun, as we saw earlier. Fredrickson, another driver we've seen last season. Also, one of the handful of drivers who ran an Alpha Sim Sport livery. Ulberg here with another Milwaukee. So maybe him and Abelstead working together, two Swedes. Sam Dawson, can't really see what the car looks like, but from what I can tell, it looks very nice. Stafford, of course, we just saw. And I love the little reflective chrome it looks like. Frial, another returning driver. Matty Sachs, same, sticking with the Lexus. You know what? I respect that. Most drivers do not drive the Lexus, and I'm sad because just listen to that. I mean, that's just a beautiful sound, ain't it? That is just a beautiful sound. Looks amazing. It sounds amazing. James Hutton, another debut season for him, and oof, that looks very nice. That looks very nice. Arctic blue, a little bit of camo. Well, he's going to try to blend in with some of the crowd. Michal Velikov, another new addition here from Hungary. Is it Hungary? Yeah. I forget my I forget my country sometimes. Another solid livery. The safety car, the Simrigs safety car. This time, it is going to be the Beamer. We had the Chevrolet last season, and Briscoe still in the pit lane. But we have some qualification. It's not Hungary. Oh God, I should know this. Someone tell me. Help me. Help me. See, this is where I'd have like Simon. He'd be like, oh no, it's actually, it's Bulgaria. Okay. I mean, the colors are, they have the same colors. Speaking of Simon right now, on top, 54-54, almost a full second ahead of Vinogradov, and about half a tenth added on to Rumbouts, who is in third at the moment. His best lap, that 55.43. Fredrickson in the pits right now. I think he might be done for the session. 54.46. Or, sorry, not 54. 55.46. So we only have one driver in the 54s, and that is none other than Mr. Simon Bauer. And then Beauchart takes that last top 5 position right now. 55.94, and then Cuthbert 55.95. Ippolito is not under that 55 at the moment, or under the 56 rather, excuse me. But he is lucky number 7. We'll see how that plays out for him. Partez in 10th. Hansen and Starkey round out your top 10. We are now at the end of qualifying. So let's see who here is on an improvement that is close to being done. Velikov, the Bulgarian. I hope I don't get, like, thrown into a ditch because I mixed up my countries. Is on an improvement, half a second up. This could put him into the 56s, albeit barely. If he can find a few extra tenths, he could overtake Starkey for that top 10. Oh, wow. Runs it extremely wide across the line, just coming up here at the end of the straight, and it is going to be, unfortunately, 12th. It looks like he might have gone a little wide, and I'll just undid himself. And Simon Bauer improves, 54.28. I mean, what can't this man do? He just gets here, starts taking names. Marius Fredrickson, hopefully not to be confused with Marius 89, goes up to 15th with that 57.69. And then Ippolito, I believe, is the last driver out on track. No, we have one more person, Oscar Stafford, so we'll have time to check both of these drivers out as they cross the line. Ippolito looking to improve. This could be massive. This is going to look like a 55, but it's a question of where does he end up? How much further? He goes into the top 5, pushes Beauchart out by 0.3, and then Oscar Stafford, the last driver to cross the line, last but certainly not least, of course, around that final corner, about a second up. His best time, only 2 minutes, 0.29, as he crosses the line in 20th. Ladies and gentlemen, it's starting to rain a little bit. Well, that certainly throws a bit of a wrench into the works. Interesting to see how these drivers are going to handle a wet track, especially 20 minutes. Going to be raining. 10 minutes, though, it's going to stop. The question is, how quickly will these cars manage to clear the surface? What are we going to see? But while we wait for these drivers to get their setup sorted out, take a quick moment to shout out our sponsor, Simrigs. Thank you again, as always, for sponsoring the Sprint Series, our second season with them. If you're in Australia, New Zealand, you're looking to update what you've got on your rig, Simrigs has got you covered, of course, servicing those two beautiful island nations. And if you're like me and you happen to live outside of them, well, if you send them an email, I'm sure they'd be more than happy to do some business with you. And if you're an OR Patreon member, you get 5% off your in-store purchases. Let me tell you something. Sim racing equipment is not cheap by any means, unless you're going with something like, you know, a Thrustmaster T150 or a Logitech G29 starter wheels. But if you're looking to upgrade, that 5% discount is really going to do you some miracles, do you some wonders. So thank you again to Simrigs for sponsoring Season 12, and it will not be the last time we hear from them. But back out on track, just about a minute and a half to go before these drivers are set and ready. So we're going to do something that I thoroughly enjoy doing every single week, and that is our standard little track walkthrough, our little grid walk. We do it every season, it feels like. I do it at the start, of course, because, well, it's just fun to do. Welcome in, Cody, as well. Good to see you. So, we look at these cars. 28 cars here tonight. And we're going to take a nice little stroll down the starting grid. It's Bauer on pole, his first race here in Sprint, and what a good way to start it off. Oh, God, we're still following a car already. And then next to him, of course, Rumbouts actually managed to straddle over Vinogradov. Starts again. There we go. Boom. It's the start of the season. Give me some time to shake off the rust. But it's Rumbouts and Vinogradov. Fredrickson, top 4. Ippolito sneaking into that top 5 right at the end. Beauchart and Cuthbert, two names we've seen a lot in seasons past. 6 and 7. Evan Cairns, Partez, Hansen, top 10. These drivers looking to improve already with what they've got coming off of last season. Matty Sack again in the Lexus, 11th for him. It's Craig Starkey joining alongside in 12th. Doyle Velikov, your 7th row drivers. Fredrickson and Terry, one new driver, one new returning driver, and then it's Nidzelsky and someone who I love talking about is Huneveld, as we have someone going off a little further ahead. Abelstead, Stafford, Olberg, Dawson, Frail, Hutton, and of course the safety car, and a couple of other drivers here at the back who we are going to talk about in a bit. But we had a little bit of a false start from one of the drivers. But it's the first race of the season. You got to give them some, you know, some leeway. We'll actually ride with the safety car. This time around, it is the BMW. The Simrig safety car, a bit of a change from last season. Looked like a bit of a Nerf football, but we've gone for something a little bit more classy. We never know who is in these cars, let me tell you. And while we do this, I said we were going to talk about it earlier, we just didn't. To talk about those non-competitive rounds I talked about, those are completely optional. They're non-points rounds. They sort of act as, I guess, a bit of practice. So next week it will be Bathurst, a track I am thoroughly in love with every day of my life, except when I crash, then she's mean to me. But I am certainly ready for that. As far as I'm concerned, it is broadcasted, but unless otherwise told. But that also sort of coincides with the 12 Hours of Bathurst event we have coming up. I believe it's 48 teams, and I think 600 drivers, roughly somewhere in there. If my memory serves correctly, that is going to be quite the race for the Endurance Series coming up. We'll be making more announcements about that when it goes down. But single file right now is what we're going to be running until we get back to the start, or at least close to it. Because at that point, we're going to be going 2x2, and that'll set us up for the first race here for EU. Simon Bauer ahead of Rumbouts and Vinogradov, those 3 elite class drivers. It is going to be quite the tale to see how all 3 of them play out. But even further down in the back areas of the field, it's a wet track. Brake points are different. Trying to get on the power might not go too well. We'll see how it happens. Now, it should be mentioned that the start of every sprint season is always going to be a little bit chaotic. You have drivers who are coming in for the first time. You have drivers who are returning. The returning drivers, of course, know who they've raced with before, and they know what they've got to do. And from there, they kind of just play. But they also have to figure out the other drivers. Meanwhile, the other drivers that are new, same exact thing, but they've got to figure out everybody. Very good eye there. Kevin stopped raining immediately. This is going to be interesting. And the safety car hasn't pulled away as quickly as I would have thought. We're still 2x2, though. I'm wondering if we're doing a bit of a safety car start, or if we're just not getting into position early on. But ladies and gentlemen, the safety car is in the pit lane. It's 2x2 as we head down the front straight. Simon Bauer on pole. Rumbouts joins him. Vinogradov, Fredrickson, Beauchart in that top 5. Everyone else, and it's green here at Paul Ricard. It's going to be a really good jump there in the back from Beauchart, who almost goes in the back of Fredrickson. Bauer on the inside. Rumbouts on the outside down to turn 1. It's going to be later on the brakes. It's Vinogradov, a very late move. Almost goes into the back of the Honda, but gets it together. Simon Bauer a little out of shape, and he's off the road by quite a margin. Rejoins about 12th, 13th position. Vinogradov and Fredrickson are going to take those positions. Rumbout's already gone. He has wasted absolutely no time. Got the man he needed out of the way and has already opened up a gap. Fredrickson sticking to the inside line. Vinogradov does not have a chance to get around, but it looks like he's going to try to power it down around the outside. That Porsche is not going to kill him today. And we head on to the back straight. You can see just for a moment, Rumbouts, what a gap he has to everybody else as we head down the incredibly long straight. The sun is out. The rain has stopped. Oh, this is gonna get hairy. Look at Rumbout. He is just gone. There is no way anybody even thinks that they're gonna get close. Where is Vinogradov? There he is. Fredrickson on the inside. Is this really the place he wants to be? He's throwing it side by side. And somehow they keep it together. That's pulling Beauchart in, and behind them we've got a whole bit of carnage starting to come together. But this has been a very good lap there, a very good opening lap from Rumbouts. Where in the world did Bauer end up? He is so far down. I don't even think he's here. He is. He's down 22nd, 23rd, 24th. He has had an absolutely gut-wrenching start to the season. Beauchart locking up, going out wide. Vinogradov slipping on through. Ippolito now into the party. But Beauchart has enough of a gap, and it's going to be a little bit of a switcheroo there from the Aston Martin back onto the front straight. But the Lamborghini has the power and carries on. Partez finding himself in a bit of an awkward situation. He's got a Lexus in front. He's got a BMW behind. The 2 German manufacturers chasing down Lexus in the slipstream, but it's not going to do too much at the moment as we head through first couple of corners. Keep an eye on this. This is the beauty of these super sprint races. It's quick, fast action. It never seems to stop. It's just like your regular old pub lobby minus the turn 1 brake forgetters. Ryan Cuthbert here in 20th position on the inside right now, dealing with one of the new arrivals here, D'Angelo Lela in the Mercedes. Hasn't found a way through right now. Just up ahead, it is going to be Stafford, who goes down the inside on, it looks like Fredrickson. Or sorry, not Fredrickson. I mixed up my drivers. Oh, but he's had a terrible start. Who is that on the side? Somebody. Is that Partez? It was Partez he was battling with, it looked like. So Partez had a little bit of an issue there. And he has just gotten all sorts of out of shape. We check up front just for a moment. Beauchart doing a very good job of keeping it together. Matty Sack right now behind him is Evan Cairns. 2 drivers we've seen in seasons past starting to do battle. The Lexus going extremely wide. Don't know how well the stewards are going to think about that one. And again, another wide. He just can't find the grip, can't find the traction, and Cairns, no problem slipping on through. He'll take that position, no questions asked. Marius Fredriksson with, that is Simon Bauer just beside him, almost going into the side of the Honda there. It looked to be Velikov, the new arrival, just behind him. Another Porsche of Partez. We're getting a little bit dicey. We'll actually ride on board with Simon Bauer here as he does get the inside line. So we'll gain that position up to 16th. He's got a lot of work to do if he wants to get back to where he was before. Running out wide, just up ahead. That is the Aston Martin of Huneveld, who cuts way back across to hold the position. There's a touch there on the back there from Velikov as we go onto the front straight once more. Velikov in the slipstream, and just ahead of them is going to be Starkey. Is he close enough for remove? That's the question. Velikov surveying the options and deciding it's not going to be worth it to dive down the inside, but he is at the last moment. There's just barely enough room. Somehow, both of these drivers keeping it together. Huneveld not getting the grip he needs, sliding around. Velikov not letting up just yet. Fires it down the inside, late on the brakes, and he's going to make contact with Starkey. Starkey getting pushed on through. Bauer will take that. But Velikov, not what you wanted, as he finds himself dropping a few positions. And we see some Alpha SimSport Porsches doing a little bit of battle there. Starkey ahead of Fredriksson Partez. Huneveld trying to get a better run out of the corner. He may have it, although the Aston Martin not really known for its acceleration or top end. Sort of a good all-around car, but right now doing a stellar job of keeping up with Simon Bauer. And I think as I say that, yeah, Bauer, a little bit more power, but he is on the outside. Not the line you want as you head down the straight. Look at this group we've got forming. Fredriksson, Starkey, two very solid drivers, very well-known drivers, arguing over a position behind them. It's Abelstead catching a couple up, and Velikov, who's trying to do what he can. Starkey running it out extremely wide right now. Abelstead, this pack of looks about 7 or 8 cars. Abelstead down the inside, and that's also going to invite Terry into the party. Terry does not have to back it up. He is sending it down the inside. Let's move up front. Hansen right now, a name we haven't really talked about, is running 5th at the moment. Ippolito in the Aston Martin as well. Beauchart using, looks like one or both of them to try to get a double slipstream effect. Isn't going to happen. Down the inside, it's still door-to-door here, the two Aston Martins. Beautiful stuff, Hansen with that inside line. Same with Beauchart. You saw Ippolito just get a little bit squirrely there, and that puts both of these drivers up and beyond them. It looks like things are starting to calm down, although we move back further in the grid. I think this is the spot where we really want to be. Velikov having to deal with Abelstead. That Lamborghini, I feel like we're going to be seeing a lot of Lamborghini this season, not just with you, but also with NA, with a certain someone in the background. There's Brisso doing some work on Starkey, but actually is quite enough to get around and already opening up that gap. And behind them, D'Angelo Lela, the new arrival here in the Mercedes, having some trouble keeping up with Starkey. You see him just get a little bit loose, and that pulls Cuthbert in closer, as well as Dawson. Nidzelsky Hutton just chilling there in the background, looking for something, anything. Beauchart had the position, but hasn't gotten away as well as he would have liked, as he punts that poor Bullard somewhere to another zip code, probably to the next race at Bathurst. And Ippolito, just noticed the diffuser painted the colors of the Italian flag. You love to see just some of the little details these drivers will put into their skins. Incredible stuff. Terry runs it wide along with Abelstead. He's going to drop to 18th, or maybe try to pick up a position here. Just on the right side is the Honda of Velikov. So these two continuing to argue over position 17. Now, with how long these cars have been running, with how much is left, 11.5 minutes to go, the track is greasy. So we could be seeing some pit stops because those wet tires don't do so well on dry surfaces. So we could be seeing how things are going later on in the race. Back to answer your question, these liveries, whew, never get tired of seeing what these guys have in store for us. And speaking of something that we are not really getting enough of, is Eugene Vinogradov getting around Rumbouts and Fredrickson running up front. This is a beautiful little 3-pack we have here. Vinogradov, not an unfamiliar name to P1. He is going to try to get things going. Who is going to draw first blood here? At the moment, Vinogradov charging his way to that first win, but still plenty of time. Oscar Stafford having some connection issues. A little bit of Australian drift, it looked like. Again, joining us from all the way down under. It is always rough being on such a tight connection. I can vouch for that. Huneveld and Abelstead still not done with P15, or P14 rather. Actually, it is done and dusted. Abelstead looks like he got a much better drive out of the corner, although Huneveld in the slipstream. But how much is it really going to pull him closer? Looks like not too much, just has to back out. Halfway to go here out the back. You see Fredrickson, Briso, Terry, Velikov, and I believe Starkey as well in the background, fighting with D'Angelo Layla and Cuthbert for position 20. Yeah, it looks like the Italian falling down. Starkey just has to give up that position. Too far off the track, can't really fight it. Cuthbert slots into place, no problems asked. Fredrickson had Brisso behind him, got a little bit out of shape there. That pulls Terry and Velikov in the inside line. Terry just plants that Aston Martin right there, doesn't think twice about it. There is nowhere to go. Two doesn't go into one, but what does go is the Honda of Velikov getting the move done. We head down the front straight, but he's not hungry for one, he's hungry for two. He's got Briso in his sights, he's got the run, he's got the slipstream, he's got a matching power as we head down into turn number one once again, but there is just no way around. Was not far enough ahead to try to make the move stick, and Briso getting away by the skin of his teeth. And that brings Terry into the picture. Cuthbert as well thinking about it. Terry firing it down the inside. Beautiful move done cleanly. Velikov not really doing much to fight it. Cuthbert as well, looking to see what he can gain as we head on to the back straight. This is the one beautiful thing about these super sprint races, these 20-minute races. Everybody vying for position. Speaking of vying for position, we've got two sets of battles going on, Boschart and Hansen. And behind them, it's Sack and Cairns. Or Boschart and Ippolito, excuse me. Hansen, long gone. These five drivers could be throwing hands later on. And look at this. Now this is what we want. We'll see out the back of Fredrickson's Porsche. So we head down almost three wide there for a moment as Briso and Terry tried to find something with Huneveld, but it wasn't going to work. Both of these drivers smart to back out. Huneveld, we're going to sit right here on the rear wing, hopefully not affecting that arrow too much, as Terry's trying desperately to pull away Velikov as well, trying to find a way, maybe around the outside here. It isn't going to work. Down the inside is Briso. There is not enough drive there just to touch onto the Honda beside, and he is going to pull back ahead. There's Cuthbert still waiting in the shadows for something around the outside. Maybe there's the 95 of Huneveld going wide. That's going to put Terry up a position, and now tries to stick with the inside line. Doesn't work out too well. Briso, Terry, Velikov, Cuthbert, D'Angelo Layla, and I think Starkey as well into the pit lane. It looked like we had Huneveld maybe going onto that slick tire, realizes that the wets aren't doing it, and he's going to find something. Is this the call? Huneveld, we're going to see where this puts him. If everybody else pits, could this be the undercut to end all undercuts? Who knows? As Velikov gets through, Briso as well. D'Angelo Layla ahead somehow of Starkey and Nidzelsky. Starkey though, or not Starkey, excuse me. Cuthbert, oh, I'm mixing up my drivers. Thought about a move, didn't work out. Check back up front. Yvonne Cairns. That is Simon Bauer. The man who ended up being at the tail end of the field has fought his way back up to 8th. This is incredible, and just ahead of them, it's Hansen, Bouchard, Ippolito, Zach Cairns, Bauer, and maybe even Doyle if he can catch up. Hansen, 15-second time penalty, not quite certain what that's for. Inside, door-to-door, Ippolito, Bouchard. This is the battle for 5th ahead of them. Hansen, he will be losing that position at the end of the race. 15 seconds added on is going to be huge. How far down is that going to put him? That's the big question here. Matty Sack behind. Simon Bauer is up into, it appears to be none other than P8, possibly. My god, my throat is so dry, but this is incredible stuff. Oh my god, I've missed this. I have missed the OR so much. As much as I enjoyed, whoa, Simon Bauer, what was that little move there? Somehow gets around Matty Sack with what I can only describe as the ultimate bravery dive bomb from a couple of postal codes back. Bouchard, look at the speed he's got over Hansen. Is he going to go around the outside? He's going to get the move done before we even get to the corner. Bouchard up into P4. Ippolito and Simon Bauer right now will be fighting for the last position in that top 5. The Honda, though, very powerful comparatively, and there it is. So if things stay the way they are, Simon Bauer will be picking up that P5 because of the penalty on Hansen. We hop back a little bit. Abelstead and Terry. This is P14 on the line for these two. And just behind them you see Velikov, a name I've already talked about so much in the season's just started, lying in wait. Terry, though, not close enough to really get any sort of move done. And behind them, of course, Fredrickson. D'Angelo Layla, 5 seconds. Not the way you want to start the season. And behind them is Cuthbert. Driver we see oh so much of every single season. Terry trying to get some sort of speed there. He pulls out of the slipstream. You can see just how quickly he loses all that speed. As he pulls out, it's just not enough. That Lamborghini just way too quick for him. He slots back in, but how much is that really gonna do? What is that gonna work? Who knows? D'Angelo Layla as well as we head up. We got some door-to-door action. The inside line for the Mercedes. Where is he? Does he get the move done? No. Backs way out and just has to give that position up the inside there. Fredrickson thinking about it. Fredrickson and Starkey or Cuthbert come together. Terry as well somehow getting mixed up in that. And the Italian picks up 3 positions. Could be 4. It doesn't look like it. But wow, that is just how quickly things can go wrong. Running out wide. Yeah, Fredrickson having some trouble controlling that Porsche. But there you go. One little touch is all it takes. Could there be damage on Fredrickson's car? It doesn't look, just some light damage. But it seems like he's having a hard time controlling it as D'Angelo Layla just runs that thing way outside. The track is now green, so it looks like some drivers may have just stuck with the slicks. I think some drivers decided that it wasn't really worth it to go onto wet, seeing how quickly it stopped raining, but, well, who knows? Maybe these drivers think there's enough time in the wets, but even then, it's going to be difficult. If you pit now, you're just dropping to the back. There's no chance that you even get anything at the end of the first race. Matty Sack pulling away Ippolito. Fredrickson still dealing with D'Angelo Layla, has not given up at all. But the thing is, even if he gets around, it's not going to matter. Those 5 seconds, it's going to put him back. So at this point, maybe try to get around to open a gap. But, you know, if you stay right here, maybe you won't get exactly what you're looking for. Lose more positions by the end of it. That's always the hard thing, calculating out penalties, especially as a driver. You have to sort of guess where you're going to end up, look at the gap, cycle the MFD, figure out what the best course of action is, and go from there. And Terry pulling in. This will be a free position 15 for him. He might just be looking to keep things stable. And even behind them, Velikov might be close enough to barely sneak an extra position. I'm not quite certain. As we see Matty Sack getting around the 22. That's Yvonne Cairns. Starkey up into 7th. Simon Bauer is in 5th position. He's just gone into 5th, so he doesn't have to worry about anything. Hansen had some issues, it looks like, so he's way down in 10th position, plus 15 on that car. That's going to be rough. You had a pizza sponsor, winner gets a free pizza. I would be no-lifing the circuit until I had like 8 world records. I will take free pizza any day of the week. Sam Dawson, debutant here in the Sprint Series, having to deal with Starkey. A name that to him might be a little bit unfamiliar, but to the rest of us, that is a name that we see up quite a lot. But unfortunately, the Pro-Am driver down 21st position. Porsche doing a very good job. FIA Motorsport livery. Yeah, beautiful stuff. Love to see it. I caught a little bit of it. Didn't catch all of it, unfortunately. But Rumbouts, I believe, will have just enough time for this race to be over and done with. Yes, he will. By the time he gets back to the line, it's going to be checkered flag. Rumbouts started 2nd at the start of this race. Simon Bauer, a little bit of a spill, promoted him up to 1st. Vinogradov found a way around, but as we round the final corner, Rumbouts, your reigning champions, gonna draw first blood here for the EU Sprint Series and wins race number 1 at Paul Ricard. Behind him, Eugene Vinogradov, a very familiar name, and Fredrickson will be picking up a P3 podium finish. Great way to start the season for him. Bolshart, and oh, he's lost a position. Simon Bauer somehow off camera got around Bolshart. Obviously for the German, not the way he wanted to start the season. Started on pole, fell back, but what a recovery drive up to 4th. Ippolito is 6th. Matty Sack, Evan Cairns, Partez, 7, 8, 9. Hansen, we got to see where he ends up. 15 seconds. It is P10. However, it is going to be rough. So it's going to be 1 position lost. Doyle, in the debut race, picks up a P10. Oh, we've got a whole pack heading here right now. Fredrickson's got a better run. D'Angelo got out of the corner even better. What is this, 3 wide across the line? What in the world is that? What is that finish? Velikov, Olberg, Terry. That was amazing. Right at the line, all 3 drivers. Stafford, Nidzelsky, Cuthbert, Starkey, a disappointing P21 or P20, does get ahead of Dawson, who does fall to 21st. Bariso 22nd, Abelstead Frial 22 through 24. Looks like we're gonna have a lot of shifting sands here, and everyone else follows suit. So let's take a peek at what the final times are looking like. So Hansen down to 11th, D'Angelo Layla 16th, then Zeltsky to 21st. That is rough. And then Brisso down to 24th. Man, what a race that was. What a finish we had. So, now that we've gotten through this first race, we are going to be getting into round 2 of qualifying. Not that long. Only 6 minutes on the clock. So what's going to happen, those top 12 drivers we just discussed, they are going to be out there on track. Or sorry, the top 12 are not going to be on track. They're going to be sitting here in the pits. They are going to let this practice session happen. Everybody else, those 13 drivers, or anyone 13th and beyond, they're heading out right now. 6 minutes to set their best lap. That's only going to be maybe 3 to 4, depending on how quickly they can get around, will dictate how many laps they are going to get in. Speaking of getting into things, I'll be getting to some new sim racing equipment. Shoutouts to Simrigs for sponsoring Season 12 of the Sprint Series here. If you're in Australia, New Zealand, they've got you covered. Outside of that, send them an email. They'll be more than happy to do business with you. And if you're an OOR Patreon member, 5% off your in-store purchases. Sim racing equipment is expensive, trust me. So save a couple bucks here and there. But again, thank you to Simrigs for sponsoring Season 12 of the Sprint Series. Always a pleasure to have them, of course. But out on track. We are going to see who is the best of the best. I believe Starkey got out first. No, someone is ahead of him. We're going to figure out who that is right now. It's Cuthbert. Cuthbert is the first one out, it looks like. So, we are going to see what the benchmark for quali number 2 is. If you have a favorite driver you're watching right now, take note of where they finish up and add 12 to it. That'll be their starting position at the start of the next race. Oh, it appears as though the car is a barn find. I did not know that the 720S is in Horizon 5. I haven't played that game in probably the better part of a year. Those barn finds were fun, and then I found all the cars, and I'm like, oh, this is stupid. I want to find more barns. Looks like they got a little bit of cleanup to do on that McLaren. An incredible livery, beautiful stuff. But we'll see what the starting time looks like for Britain. Maybe car number 13 starts position 13. Who knows? But you can see, oh, looks like they're going to maybe get 2 laps of quali here. You can already see just about 2.5 minutes to go. Things are getting a little close. So 2 chances to put the best lap you can in. There it is. Beautiful save from Cuthbert. That is exactly what I'm talking about. A little bit of drifting there. If you're trying to warm up the tires, that might be the fastest way to do it. Shoutouts to you, Ryan, for making that save happen. That is not easy to do by any stretch of the imagination. Keep my things of doing things. Start P2, finish P1. Exactly. The defending champion, of course, enjoying a little bit of a break now, kicking his feet up. A break well-deserved, I should add. But he's going to be starting P12 on the grid at the start of the race. And it's those reverse grids that always have a little bit of uncertainty to them. Because what ends up happening is you have the faster drivers trying to get around what is considered to be the slower drivers, while at the same time trying to defend their position from a fellow fast driver. So how are things going to play out? Happy with third? Absolutely earned. 100%. But Ryan Cuthbert does have the pseudo-pole position, of course, with that drift. Probably not what he wanted. And we'll see what everyone else runs with. Frial, just under 2 minutes. And Starkey makes it pole with that move, of course, but we'll see if he's able to keep that. So Starkey, this is his last chance. This is where he had some trouble we saw coming out of the corner. Track is optimum this time. We had a green track for that first quali session, but it looks like all that rubber is laid down. The track is as dry as it can be. Runabouts, it's a very valid strategy. That's how I drive. Pray the faster guys run into each other and go from there. Cuthbert has gotten this turn a lot better. Terry moves up, P2. Now you may notice the colors of those squares next to the driver names. Of course, the white square are our pro-rated drivers, the black squares are the pro-ams, and then the red is the amateur class. And you might say, well, what are those gray ones? What are those silvery looking ones? Well, those are going to be our obviously silver rated drivers, and that is sort of a provisional rank we just give. We take some time, we see how they drive, and we get them promoted either to amateur, pro-am, or pro. And you can move up later on in the season. It happened to me when I raced. I started off amateur class and finished in pro-am. Ryan Cuthbert across the line, a 55.75. Very solid time from him. Starkey, P2 at the moment, a 1.5 seconds back. I don't know how much he's going to gain. He's only a couple tenths, so looks like not a lot. Friel is in 5th right now. A second up would put him 58, but it really wouldn't move him anywhere. He would just stay right where he is. Looks like we have a good chunk of the grid who's not racing, but it's not because they're top 12. It's just they're not out there. Frialdo in 5th. Starkey moves up. Pseudo P2 doesn't improve. Velikov up into P3. And we look to see who else is out there. Sam Dawson, a 59.88 for him as he crosses the line. And we'll be just moving the Italian over up into P8. In the background, we see the Lamborghini of Abelstead as he comes out of that final corner. Hasn't set a time yet. And it looks like a very good provisional P2. 1.3 off the pace of Cuthbert, though. 57.117 for him. And it looks like Huneveld, the only driver out on the field. Or actually, no, it's a lie. Oh, no, Briso. Briso is done and dusted. So Huneveld, we'll see what it's looking like. He had a 58.66 last lap, but it looks like he went wide, so it doesn't count. Where does he finish? P6 for him. There you go, right at the end, leapfrogging just about everybody. Fight for podium in race 1 was missed. Kidding, of course. Oh, you joker. Alright, so we have about 3 minutes, of course, until we get underway. So what will happen is once the countdown is done and every driver has hit drive, hopefully, unless they want to start from the pit lane, safety car will pull ahead and they'll set up somewhere, and what will happen is the race director will start calling out driver numbers in that reverse grid order. They'll all go ahead and line up behind the safety car, and from there everyone else will follow suit. And a fun little thing we like to do here in the OR is see, can we get a straight line? You might look at that and say, well, Nick, it's a straight line. How hard is it really? For some drivers, quite difficult. For others, not so much. We had Kyalami a couple seasons ago. I think last season, actually. And we had, if you've seen Kyalami, you know that front straight is very long, especially after the quote-unquote turn 1. And we still have drivers all over the place. But then you have some circuits where it's very twisty and windy and very narrow, and we somehow get a straight line. Don't know how, don't know why. I'm not on the track. I'm in the booth. So I can sit here and point and laugh as best I can. Let's go find the safety car. Is the safety car even on grid? I swear I just saw it. It is. It is out. It's in P22 at the moment. Let's take a little bit of a peek at it compared to last season. This looks a lot nicer, a lot more professional than last season. Well, technically, yeah, last year's car. You can see, it looks like it's from Preach Design. Shout out to them. So that car will be pulling away shortly. And we'll see just what the rest of the grid looks like. But again, you never know who's in the car. You never know who the driver is. It's sort of like a mascot, right? You don't talk about who the mascot is. You just know that it's the mascot. But 40 seconds to go, and we'll be on our way. Race number 2, 40 minutes on the clock here at Paul Ricard. What is your guys' opinion on this track? All of you watching at home, how do you feel about this circuit? Personally, I'm not a huge fan of it. Just can't quite put my nail on it, but it is not something I thoroughly enjoy driving. And then you look at the rest of the season, we've got Bathurst, Brands Hatch, Misano, Snetterton, Suzuka, Imola, Donington, Hungary, Barcelona. I see some tracks in there I love. I see some tracks in there I haven't driven too much, and I see a couple tracks I would rather not be at. But countdown is finished, so here we go. The safety car apparently forgetting to hit drive. Good stuff. Alright, so we'll be having a certain setup, unless the safety car may have disconnected. We don't know, but there is absolutely zero motion on track. No one has moved yet. Everybody is, I guess, a little afraid to move. They don't want to end up in the pit lane like the safety car. That is interesting. I don't think we've ever had the safety car in pit lane. I'm sure they're discussing it right now in the Discord channel, probably trying to figure out what in the world the next course of action is. What do they do? Where do they do it? How do they do it? And we'll see what happens. But for right now, we continue to wait. Looks like Matty Saxing is going to restart his PC, so maybe we're waiting for some drivers to reconnect. But now it's just us. Get some music on. Get something to do right now. Oscar Stafford looks like he is actually out of the race. Interesting. But yes, the safety car. Now, the safety car can't move until the race starts. So, what do we do? I'm confused. You're confused. We're all confused together. Life is good. Okay, so it looks like Stafford is done for the evening. Maybe some connection issues. Who knows? But I've never seen this happen before. I've never had a moment where the safety car isn't on track because the safety car driver forgot to hit drive. I feel like if I were in the safety car, I'd be spamming that button like you wouldn't believe. But at least give us a chance to look over the grid again. So Cuthbert is on pole, but that'll put him down to P13 if and when we get things sorted out. Abelstead as well. Even though amateur class has put himself pretty far up, especially ahead of Starkey, driver we saw quite a lot of action from last season. We see Velikov, Terry, Huneveld, Olberg, Nidzelski, Frial, and Dawson, that top 10. And D'Angelo Layla. Hutton. I mean, this is some... Although amateur class drivers, we have some pretty pro-level strats. So we've restarted the countdown. The safety car is now on grid, so hopefully we don't forget to hit drive this time. Safety car up on the jack so you can see it lifted up. Or maybe that's just how tall the car looks in general. Let's see how tall the safety car is. Is it actually... Oh, it is just that tall. It is just a tall boy. Because it doesn't look like it's on jacks at all. So another 2.5 minutes. Technical issues for the safety car. Possibly. Probably right. But, yeah, we wait as we get a great view. Alright, so, hopefully, this time, we'll pull out, get this race underway, 40 minutes on the clock. Things are going to get rather crazy. Very quickly. Of course, we're not going to be done after this. We'll be having the North American Sprint Series later on tonight. Oh, looks like Stafford's back. Yeah, Stafford's going to have to start from the back of the grid. So, yeah, we'll be back later tonight for North American Red and Blue Splits. Those races starting at 8 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Broadcast probably starting at about 7:45, give or take. And we'll have a whole nother heap of drivers. I won't spoil anything just yet. Not like there's been any action, but there is information. That's 70 seconds just about until we can get underway and get this second race started here this afternoon. I mean, is it really the start of an OR Sprint Series if we don't have at least some issue for the start of the season? I don't think so. That's the charm of it. That's what we like about it. So drivers will get the option to hit drive with 30 seconds to go, as is standard in ACC. We look now to the safety car just to see if we get a move on. Well, actually, we'll sit inside the car so we can hear the engine. Look at the dashboard. All right, 30 seconds. Does the car turn on? I don't think so.
20 seconds.
This is not looking good. But man, that dashboard looks incredible. Oh, there's movement. There was movement in the car.
10 seconds.
That's what we want to see. Hold on, we could probably go with helmet cam, get a better view of the inside of this car. We can find a cockpit. There we go. The safety car. She lives. The safety car pulls ahead now. What'll happen is the safety car is probably going to stop right at the end of the front straight here. And from there we will see. Does the EU Sprint Series form a straight line? That is the big question. Safety car really pulling away. All right, so let's look back here at the grid. Nobody's moved yet. We're still waiting. The safety car in the lead, of course. Safety car is really pulling away. I don't think we've ever had the safety car go this far ahead. I don't think that's ever happened. At least not that I can recall. Are we slowing to a stop? We are running at a stellar 0 kilometers an hour, and if you want to convert that, that's 0 miles an hour. Alright, so now what will happen is the race director will start calling up drivers one by one in reverse grid order, 1st through 12th, and they will line up behind the safety car, and we'll get a move on and see what's going down here. Race number 2, 40 minutes on the clock. No mandatory pit stops today. Just gonna be some regular old fun and shenanigans. And now we start moving, so we're gonna go back up and see how well this straight line is created. Of course, the number 267 Porsche of Fredriksson will be on pole position for the start of this second race. And behind him, I believe, that is not Ippolito. Ooh, almost called up the wrong car. That's Hansen, P2. Behind them looks to be Doyle, or possibly even Stafford. No, Stafford is dead, unfortunately. And we are putzing. This is, I've heard of parade laps, but that's a little ridiculous. We are like driving through a parade in the middle of town. Let's see what the dash looks like. We're at about 10 kilometers or so. Not quite certain what that is in miles. I use usable units. But it looks like we've gotten everybody. All right, let's check the grid. How well have these drivers set up? Extremely well. We've done a very good job. It's a curved straight line. This is looking really good. Good job to all these drivers. Wait, what did it just say on the front? My driving scares me. Oh God, Starkey. Starkey, never change. Never change, bud. Whoa, we've got D'Angelo Layla way out of position, it looks like. Not quite sure what the Italian's doing. He seems to be slightly confused. Unless he's supposed to be this far up. I just forgot. Looks like he might be slightest bit confused. But we have a straight line, and that's what matters. So, we get ready. Race number 2 about to commence here. It is going to be Fredriksson on pole, Hansen, Doyle, Partes, Cairns. Top 5, Sack, Ippolito, Bochart, Bauer, Fredriksson. The next 5 down to round out the top 10. D'Angelo Layla, Vinogradov, Rumbouts, Cuthbert, Abelstead, Starkey, Velikov, Terry, Huneveld, Olberg, Nadzalski, Friel, Dawson, Hutton, Briso, and, well, Stafford has joined us, but he is going to be starting from the pit lane. So that's going to cause some issues. He's not going to get moving until after that green flag drops, but he is going to be quite a ways back in the field. But we'll see just how things pan out. The drivers, of course, getting through here down the longest back straight. See just how many cars we have here tonight. But let's get ready for 40 more minutes of action here around Paul Ricard before we take a little bit of a break until we come back for Bathurst next week. It'll be a regular old race, an hour on the clock. But things are going to get interesting. So we're lining up 2 by 2. This is good. But again, this follows that whole problem of you have those slower drivers ahead of the faster drivers. How does that play out? And it looks like we're having some difficulty setting up the 2 by 2. And that always happens with the start of these super sprints. Everybody's a little confused because the safety car is technically first, but No one wants to be out of position because you get a penalty, and some of these drivers, of course, have never done this before, and that might mess with guys who have done this before because now they're trying to figure out where they need to move. And once they get it down, usually you're good to go, especially the second time around of asking. The second time we're going to have a super sprint. We'll be at Suzuka. Well, ladies and gentlemen, things are getting strange as we head down the front straight once more. It's Fredrickson on pole, Hansen, Doyle, Bartes, Cairns top 5, Sack, Ippolito, Bouchard, Bauer, Fredrickson, the next 10 down as we head under the lights, waiting for the start to commence. You see Stafford in the pit lane. It's green, 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 and what a move there from the Porsche of Bartes. Immediately gets the perfect jump. He is running on Hansen, but it's not going to be enough. Here we go into turn number 1. Vinogradov finding himself coming together with it look to be Fredrickson. We've got Doyle around. We've got Vinogradov off. We've got drivers darting around in the background. 4 wide, almost Bouchard going into Sack there on the outside as Starkey just has to sort of settle with that. It is the Lamborghini there in the background of Abelstead, able to get ahead of some of these other drivers, and we've already had an explosive start. You see Vinogradov trying to recover what he can. Matt Doyle, has he gotten out of this one the best? It doesn't look like it. The safety car parking up. Yeah, he has. Matthew Doyle. Never mind. He is not having fun right now. Oh, goodness. Fredrickson with Hansen down the back straight we go. Porsche and Aston Martin. And just behind them, Yvonne Cairns looking for something. There's Rumbouts going almost into the backside of one of the Porsches. He is going to get this move done as we head on through. That poor Bollard, a new zip code for him. Rumbouts, and it's looks like Bartes having a little bit of trouble there, almost going over and out, but keeping it together quite nicely. An overhead view. We see Starkey down the inside of Sack just as the exit screen. Velikov doing what he can to keep Vinogradov at bay, but I don't know how well that's going to work. The inside line belongs to Fredrickson, but he will be outside here into the next right-hander, and he's just going to have to give up that position. Later on the brakes, though, trying to pull in, just can't find what he needs and has to settle for 10th at the moment. On to the front straight we go once again, and what a start it's been for a lot of these drivers. I'm not seeing our friend Mr. Bauer. I think he might have gotten out of this one horribly. 24th. So not only does his race 1 start terribly, his race 2 the exact same way. But he's got 40 minutes instead to get something done up ahead. It is Abelstead getting ahead, or sorry, it's Bouchard getting ahead of Abelstead. Starkey down, or Cuthbert, oh my goodness, I'm mixing up my drivers, down the inside there of the Lamborghini. Matty Sack catching up rather quickly. And then we've got Velikov, Fredrickson, Vinogradov trying. He's got the pace, the Russian. He's just going to take his time. Matty Sack. For a moment, it looked like Velikov might have had the move done if that Lexus hadn't been there. But is able to hold this position for the time being. Craig Starkey with Briso behind him. P17. That slipstream for the Portuguese man will be enough to get this move done just a little bit before. Could also be using Olberg for some speed as well. There's Terry there going door to door with Frial. Down into the corner we go, and it looks like Starkey just has to give it up. Can't fight it. And there's a touch there. Terry and Frial come together, but Terry gets out of it the best. Frial completely disoriented and just has to wait for everybody else to pass. Not what you want. Look at Vinogradov getting the move done there and pulls ahead. Abelstead struggling to keep his pace up with the rest of these drivers. Will actually look out the back of his car right now. Down the inside goes Fredrickson. Tried to get the move onto Sack. Isn't going to work. Sack shutting that down. And here we go down the front straight. Vinogradov is door to door right now with the Aston Martin. Has a much better drive out of the corner as we head down into turn 1 just behind the Velikov, using that slipstream to try to pull in closer. Could this be another position there for the Bulgarian? Not quite. Fredriksson is not one to give up this position easily and positions himself beautifully to keep Vinogradov at bay for just another lap. But for how long is this defense going to hold behind them? Of course, Ippolito, Huneveld, the two Aston Martins possibly could work together to pick up this position, but I think this is where we may want to be. Hansen has peeled away Rumbouts, trying to get Cairns out of the way so he can trace down our leader, but there is a little bit of a British manufacturer in his way. Olberg having to deal with Briso now, who has pulled off from Starkey. But it seems this little pack here has calmed down a bit as we head down the back straight again and again and again. Fredriksson, look at this little battle for P4, it looks like, just ahead of the two behind. It's Ebelstead. Oh, and no, that's the Lamborghini of Bouchard actually running wide. And look at Cuthbert taking absolute perfect control of the situation. It's Partez, excuse me, I'm getting my cars mixed up, who was doing battle there just before, but Cuthbert using the opportunity to pull ahead and actually gains this P6. Nothing that the Porsche can do, and behind them, Matty Sack getting hounded right now from Fredriksson. Vinogradov doing what they can to give each other just enough space to run. Vinogradov positioning himself on the right side of the circuit. Does have the line there, but does it hold? Yes, it does. Vinogradov has gotten ahead of the Aston Martin, and you can see there Velikov going door to door right now. Fredriksson down to turn number 1. Fredriksson on the inside line could maintain as we go through, and yes, he does. Just Houdini's his way in front. Beautiful stuff. Vinogradov, look at the run he's got out of the corner. Already Matty Sack under pressure around the outside, now to the inside for the Russian. Even on the brakes, does he get the move done as they head through? Yes, they do. Vinogradov, you can see, getting around Sack beautifully through the corner. Well done to him. Absolute masterclass, this guy. There is nothing he can't do, it seems like. And now he has Abelstead, an amateur class driver, just ahead. He knows he can get around him. It's just a case of when, where, and how. Up ahead, Cuthbert with a lot of speed there on the slipstream tail end side of Fredriksson as we head down into the corner. Just behind them is going to be the Porsche of Partez, and Cuthbert gets the move done. That slipstream beautifully orchestrated that move, and with that extra bit of downforce the McLaren is able to get the move done, dusted, cleaned up in a nice little case sitting on the shelf. Cuthbert up into P4, and we're gonna see how much further he can go. Hansen has had a lot of trouble with Rumbouts, who has been slowly but surely pulling in lap by lap. Looks like a little bit of a switcheroo to try to get a straighter line, but it's not going to really do too much, although that slipstream, exactly what the Dutchman needs. Looking to the inside, decides better of it. Experience will play a huge part in this position when it comes down to it. We check back on Fredriksson, who has to deal Partez Bouchard in the picture, very much so. Basically squeezing into the frame as down the inside Partez tries it, but doesn't have the line for the subsequent corner. But clearly here does have a very good defensive position, keeps Bouchard at bay for a little bit longer. Vinogradov looking for an opening, just can't find it here. We have 5 cars together as we head down the back straight. Hansen clinging to life for that P1. We head down. It's good stuff. This little pack right now forming. Abelstead door to door with the Russian, and there's Bouchard moving to the side as well as we get an overhead view here, and just up ahead is Fredrickson. We got cars all over the place. 2 Lamborghinis, 3 Porsches. The battle for P5 continues down the inside. Partez goes on to Bouchard. Does he get it done? Not quite. The Lamborghini driver is holding on. The Belgian doing what he can, and he's doing a damn fine job of it as he holds on to position 6 just a little bit longer. Vinogradov is hungry for more positions. We're going to ride on board with him, see what he can do as we head into the final corner. Looks to the inside, perhaps trying to scare off the 195 of Partez. Partez, nerves of steel, keeps it together just a little bit longer. Bouchard, again leading, has found some speed, is able to pull away quite nicely. We have to check down here. Fredrickson with Simon Bauer right now. P17 stays his. Martin Hansen starting on pole and is doing everything he can to hold on to it, but the problem is you've got this man right here from the Netherlands, your defending champion, breathing down the back of his neck right now. And as we head down the back stretch here in the slipstream in a Honda behind an Aston Martin, I don't know how well it's gonna work. Closer and closer and closer we go. Rumbouts on the inside. Does he slot back over into the racing line? Yes, he does, and there it is. Patience is a virtue. Rumbouts, absolutely nothing that could have been done for Hansen, and we see just how much he can hold on to following the end of the race. It looks like Vinogradov has gotten around a couple of drivers, perhaps pulled away. Partez falling back, but again re-aggressing on the inside. Abelstead holding beautifully right now. He's got just barely a nose along, and now it's going to be a little bit more and a little bit more through the corner behind them, of course. Sack under pressure. Ippolito not going to give him a chance to sit there and gaze upon the showing ahead. Things are sort of calming down a little bit. We're going to hop back around the grid, see what's going on. Starkey here with Fredrickson and Terry. There's Simon Bauer just exiting shot. So Bauer, not the start to the season he wanted. Fredrickson having to just camp on the inside line to keep Vinogradov behind him. But what are you gonna do? The man who has every single plan is just gonna pull ahead, get around you, no problem. Vinogradov also with the fastest lap here, 55.67 for him. And we still have 27.5 to go. Just how much further can he move that Porsche up the grid by race end? Martin Hansen in a nice little area right now. Cairns not close enough to pick up that slipstream. Fredrickson, speaking of slipstream, giving it to the fellow Alpha Sim Sport driver of Partez. As we see door to door here down the back straight. This is great stuff. They're trying to like side draft off of each other, but I don't know how well it's working. As we gaze overhead, Fredrickson on the inside line makes it happen. Matty Sack there in the background as well, getting the job done. And Abelstead struggling to keep that Lamborghini under control. Ippolito now giving himself a chance at some positions, does get it done. Huneveld, or sorry, that is Huneveld, I believe. I could be wrong. No, who in the world is that? Not quite certain. I must be missing something. But Ippolito, the job is done. Abelstead really not having the best race. That's Velikov, excuse me, man. I'm mixing my cars up. All my drivers, I thought it was an Aston Martin. It wasn't. Abelstead pushed out of that top 10. And it looks like a much better exit there for another debut driver here in the Sprint Series. The inside line belongs to Velikov. Will he use it perfectly? and get the overtake done. I'm not quite certain. And as I say that, Abelstead just has to back out. Can't fight it. And he falls down into position number 12. Hansen again coming under fire. Yvonne Cairns, lap after lap, has just been chipping away. Last lap of 57.13 for Hansen. Last lap for Cairns, 56.64. Just about half a second is the gap. And this is starting to fall apart for the Swede. Drive-through penalty for Starkey for track limits. At a track like Paul Ricard, that is embarrassingly easy to do, it feels like. So he'll have to serve that within 3 laps or it's going to be an instant disqualification. That is rough for him. So we'll see when he comes in. Fredrickson, once again under pressure from Partez. Matty Sack joining the picture. Oops, there we go. Matty Sack joining in. And just behind them, Ippolito. Like a hunter in the brush, just waiting for the opportunity to strike Abelstead. Already, as if it wasn't bad enough having to hold off Ippolito, he's got to worry about Velikov as well, who's done a very good job of pulling back in. So here we go. Yvonne Cairns, Martin Hansen. 2 drivers who had this battle brewing the last few laps in the slipstream since the Scott is not gonna go for the move. Breaks quite early, in fact, and loses all that time riding it, man, right over the curb. Very brave on that front. Partez is getting around Fredrickson. Matty Sack as well, having Ippolito in the way. Matty Sack, though, has to just give that position up. Ippolito with the speed, and in the pit lane is Starkey. So we're going to see where he comes out. It's a long pit lane here at Paul Ricard. This is the last place you want to get a drive through. You are in there forever. It is unfortunate for him, but that is just how it's going to go. We have Stafford in here. Looks like he got a couple laps. And unfortunately, just has to do what he's doing right now. Fredrickson, hello. Fredrickson, let's see if we can get a replay of this. Let's see if we can find... Oh, I can already tell what happened. I think out of the corner, he may have gotten on the curb a little too much. There is some front-end damage, though, so I'm wondering if maybe he came together with somebody. But he is way down the grid right now. Down in P18. Unfortunate turn of events for him. But best thing you can do, keep your head down and just bang out those laps, get the race done. And at that point, we'll hope for the best. Bouchard right now, top 5 position. Vinogradov wants it. This is going to be something I think we see all season from this driver right here that you're riding on board with. Did the same thing last season, different car, but same effect. I don't know if there's something above Alien, but this guy is it. Has the pace, has the speed, has the mental fortitude. He's got everything you need in a driver, and he showcases it week after week, race after race, lap after lap. It seems like this man is built to race. As he continues to hunt down positions, Fredrickson struggling. Terry alongside. Do we see the move done? That is the question. The Norwegian on the inside. And it looks like, yes, he will keep that together. Yvonne Cairns has gotten around Martin easily. Or Hansen, excuse me. And now Cuthbert, Bouchard, Vinogradov. Not only are they hunting that position, they're hunting each other. Cuthbert does have a little bit of breathing room, though. So nothing to worry about just yet. We continue on. Another race. Vinogradov just taking a little peek down the inside. Decides better of it. Knows that it is not his battle quite yet. Just has to be patient and wait out the time. Nidzelsky, a driver we haven't seen too much of right now. doing what he can to pull away. Friel has, or not, sorry, that's not Friel. Is that Doyle? I believe that is Doyle. 15 seconds. This actually isn't a battle. This might be just a lap car, it looks like. Yeah, the 16 of Doyle. So this isn't even much of a battle. This is just something that has happened. But we hop back up front and the mid-pack as well. Got so many battles going on at the moment. This is the main one, though. Bart Bouchard does not want to give the slipstream, but doesn't really have any other options. Look at Vinogradov, just the amount of speed he gets, but look at how much he loses pulling out of the slipstream. Does he go for the movies later on the brakes, it seems? Down the inside. There it is. Another clean overtake from someone I would dub as a rising star here in the OOR. Love watching this guy week after week. And now his next target, none other than Ryan Cuthbert. And there just ahead is Hansen. And Rumbounds, you just see him exiting screen. He's gone. He is nothing to worry about. Absolutely nothing at all. Matty Sack has picked up a drive-through penalty for y'all with that 10-second penalty. So Matty Sack appears to be joining Starkey. Looks like Starkey's parked it. I think he's done. I think he realized how much time he was losing and decided it wasn't worth it to continue on. Unfortunate to see, but driver decisions are theirs. But we have to get back to the action. And you can see just how much time Vinogradov is able to pull out of getting around these slower cars. He's already behind Cuthbert. We're probably just about halfway through this lap, and look at how close he is. It's ridiculous. Velikov and Briso. Portuguese gets around perfectly, although Bulgaria not going to be able, or not going to give it up too easily. You can see a little bit of front end damage, that hood vibrating in the wind. Briso getting around. Job well done from him. Cortez, Ippolito, Matty Sack. We'll see if he goes in this lap. It's going to be crushing for him to have to deal with that. Here we go. Your 2, 3, 4 drivers and 5. Vinogradov. Cairns has gone around Hansen. The last lap only 3/10 quicker. Although Cuthbert's last lap 7/10 faster than Hansen's. It looks like Matty Sack is into the pit lane. Whoa, Vinogradov. A little bit of freestyling there. Runs over that inside curve just a little too optimistically. Thankfully able to keep it together. Just another lap. We continue on again. Briso, despite getting around the Honda, has not done the best job of pulling away, although it was a pass that was a slow burn, so hopefully the gap that is built follows that same sort of path. Ryan Cuthbert. Looks like we may have had some issues here. We right overhead. Was this a touch or was this just driver error behind him? You do see the Porsche of Vinogradov. Did he go for a gap that wasn't there? It looks like he did. That is unfortunate. Ryan Cuthbert down in 7th. Vinogradov, he's up in 5th. It looks like he gave up a position to Bouchard, but it's not how you want to do it. The stewards will be looking at that and dishing out the necessary punishment. The rust, though, for a lot of us here at the OOR, not just the drivers, myself included, same with the steward team and everyone else involved, we got to get the cobwebs out before we can be back at our usual selves. Give us another week. We'll be good to go. Sam Dawson, driver, we haven't talked about with Friel, but they both have penalties. Friel, the best of them, though, 10 seconds instead of 15. And Briso picking up a drive-through. Man, this is rough. This track is really catching a lot of these drivers out. More than I think we saw in the other splits. Bouchard right now ahead of Vinogradov. We wait to see if a penalty comes through. Oh, and our penalty bot is working. Yes, I love it. I love it when the penalty bot works. So let's look at the penalties right now for race number 2. So Doyle, 15 seconds for a collision on lap 1. Terry, a warning. Unsafe rejoin for Starkey was what gave him the drive-through that the stewards felt was necessary. Friel, 10 seconds, a collision on lap 2. Lap 2 as well is Dawson's 15-second penalty. Velikov gets a 15-second penalty for a collision on lap 4. So we're going to see if and when Vinogradov as well gets a penalty. We have to go back a little ways. Olberg here with Simon Bauer bearing down on him. The front end of that Honda a little banged up. A little bit of rubber as well as the German gets around Fredriksson. No problem at all. Vinogradov door to door right now, and well, that's going to be a battle. Bouchard does not want to fight. As he pulls ahead, Martin has gotten closer to Cairns. That's very surprising. Despite the move getting done, has struggled to pull away. The last lap was a 10th in favor of Hansen. I think we'll be seeing these two fighting a lot more as this race progresses. Briso holding on with a drive-through penalty. He's got to get that served as soon as possible, or else it is going to be a disqualification. And Velikov behind, 15 seconds. So losing, oh god, a lot of positions it seems like. But out of the final corner, looks like, yeah, Briso decides that now's the time to get that pit lane. Got to be careful you don't overcook it. Happens more often than you might think. And Olberg just out of shot. Bauer got around. And now has to deal with Fredriksson in the slipstream. Might not be as quick as the McLaren, but the Swede sticking to the inside line, going back to the racing line, doesn't seem to be too much of a weaving block for him, so thankfully able to keep things going. D'Angelo Layla is having Simon Bauer getting a little too close for comfort. You can see just how much quicker Bauer is comparatively. Antonio doing what he can to try to keep things together, but there is just too much German power behind him to really do much of anything, to really pull away from him. And on this is the last place. You need someone behind you, especially within about that 3/4 of a second. As usually when the slipstream starts taking effect. Simon Bauer using it to his full advantage. To the side he goes, but surprisingly is unable to pick up anything. But what he does pick up is a 15-second penalty. Oh goodness, everything falling apart for him. This is not the start he wanted. A collision on lap 5. So even if he gets around, it's not going to matter. And Vinogradov as well has not gotten anything just yet. We'll see if he does get anything, of course. It is up to the stewards. I am but a mere voice in a box beyond the void. I only know so much. Obviously, shout-outs to the stewarding team as we see Bauer down the inside. Shout-outs to the stewarding team, of course, for all they do. These collisions to you may look very cut and dry, but they have to look at every little bit of detail to make sure that the punishment is as fair and balanced as it can be, unlike random crits. Velikov into the pit lane with a drive-through. So that'll spit him out quite a ways down. Grid, D'Angelo Layla trying to fight back, but that Honda just positioned. We have Dawson, Friel, Hutton, Doyle, all with penalties. Hutton, a collision on lap 8 is going to be 15 seconds for his trouble. Olberg tries to find a move down the outside, dances it over the curb, and that is going to kill his speed. Fredriksson as well, just waiting. And Terry too. So this may be the place to be. Dawson could just take home bragging rights for the position, but 15 seconds is a lot more than 10. And for him, that is not what you want. Let's go back. Come on, there we go. Dawson, though, does stay ahead. But with that, again, 15 seconds, it's going to put him down. It's going to put Friel above him. Hutton could also pick up a position, so if things stay, Dawson could be 23rd or so. Or no, he's not going to be 23rd. He could end up just 22nd because Hutton also has 15 seconds. So this is the fun part. You got to figure out who's going to be where by the end of it all. Once things are settled, Hansen with Vinogradov. This has been another sort of position battle that's been a slow burn here. Hansen's last lap, that 53.9. Vinogradov a 55.8, so half a second for the troubles. And just ahead of that, Yvonne Cairns, 56.4. This is surprising. So even though these laps are slightly faster for Hansen, he can't really close up as much as he would like. The fastest lap for Cairns is a 56.29. For Hansen, it's a 56.23. This is very surprising. We'll see where Hansen gets placed classification-wise at some point in the season. I wouldn't be too surprised if he started at least Pro-Am. Velikov out of the pit lane. So even though there is that drive-through, there's still the 15 seconds that has to get added on. It's an unfortunate way things go, but that's just how it is. Hansen now. Back straight again. Vinogradov on the side. A little bit of side draft, not going to work. Hansen just parking it up beautifully. Doesn't let it happen. Vinogradov has to just wait a little bit longer for that position. And I'm sure there may be some post-race arguments to be made. Not quite arguing with one another, but just having the stewards look at something. Again, Vinogradov, there it is. Around the outside. No problem there. He gets it done. Ippolito, 15-second penalty for a collision. Lap 9. So you can see just how long it takes some of these penalties to come through. The thing is, again, like I said earlier, there's all these aspects, all these aspects you need to look at when looking at collisions to make sure that the proper parties get punished, because the last thing you need is to either not punish somebody or give someone else a harsher sentencing than is really deemed as necessary. But for right now, it is Rumbouts doing his own little thing. Where is he at? He is just getting onto the backstretch now. Cairns and Vinogradov, your podium positions. Hansen, though, doing a very good job of keeping up as best he can. And we'll see just what's going to happen later on in the race. There is just under 10 to play here, and we are not even going to be close to done here today, actually. We'll have North America later on in the evening. If you're in Europe, it's probably going to be very, very late. If you're in Australia, depending on where you are, it's either going to be a nice Friday morning for you, or it's going to be around noontime the same day. And for that, well, you might have a little bit of entertainment, but what isn't entertaining is Fredrickson getting pushed around. D'Angelo Layla, that could possibly be a penalty. Fredrickson not too pleased. Didn't lose too much time, though. Just a couple positions. Terry gets ahead. But this is the thing I talked about earlier with the start of the new season. It's always a little bit difficult to sort of figure out how everybody is going to be driving. Oh, was Hansen fought back? Yes. Oh, goodness. But yes, it's the first couple races are always the most stressful, because you need to feel out your opponents. You need to figure out what their driving style is like. And for, well, a lot of drivers, that's something that they would rather maybe avoid, maybe just sort of go in knowing exactly how these other drivers handle the circuits and handle these races. But if you're a returning driver, it's a bit easier, of course. You see familiar names. You know exactly what to expect. But if you're a newbie, well, it's a little bit more hectic. So we continue on. Vinogradov is going to try to stick to the inside corner as Cairns is settling on what is now the inside, and there it is, the 15 seconds for Vinogradov coming in. That collision with, I believe it was Cuthbert, rather, excuse me, on lap 12. So that is 15 seconds after a very solid race number 1. The Russian goes for a gap that wasn't truly there and is punished for it. So at this point, he's sort of just racing to try and get something, just a little extra something for his troubles. D'Angelo, Layla, and Terry. Looks like they may begin the discussions for who gets to have P13, although we could see another penalty coming in here later on. It depends on, again, the stewarding team. What also is a bit of an issue right now is Cuthbert on the back of Partez, 2 drivers we haven't seen too much of in recent memory. Last lap for Partez, a 57.1. Cuthbert, a 57.4, so it's 3/10. Excuse me. But looks like there may be some speed still for that McLaren to get another position. Just under 5 to play. And let's see how things pan out. Vinogradov is up into P2, but again, 15 seconds is going to make that P2 nothing more than an illusion. Down the front straight we go. Partez remains ahead there of Cuthbert. 57, 58, and then a 57, 59 between these two. So just the 100th. Doyle picking up a drive-through penalty for track limits. I'll say it once, I'll say it again, I'll say it a million times. It is so incredibly easy to get track cuts here at Paul Ricard. But for those that join us next week at Bathurst, it is a complete 180. It's actually quite difficult to cut the track. You cut the track at Mount Panorama, the mountain's going to cut you, and it is not going to be gentle about it. You will be sliced to shreds, and your car is going to look like a ball of tinfoil. Bouchard here. Hansen, this is surprising. Hansen trying to get around. God, there's just barely any room. Hansen trying to find some room down the inside here. It looks like there may be some real estate for him. Pulls in a lot closer. Bouchard had the move done, had 4th place secured, but Hansen fighting back. Doesn't give up the position that easily. Bouchard looking for some room on the inside, but it's not there. And Aston Martin, despite starting up in P1, has stuck around and holds on to P4. I don't think we're done with these two just yet. D'Angelo, Layla getting around Terry. Terry having some troubles. D'Angelo, Layla. Man, I'm pronouncing it wrong. I'm thinking there's a sub shop nearby. But now 10 seconds for that touch earlier we saw. So things are not going too well here. A lot of nerves, a lot of craziness. There is just up ahead Cuthbert getting around Partez. So P6 could be secured. 2.5 to go. Roombouts is pulling up here to Matthew Doyle. Or not, sorry, Matthew Doyle. I am so sorry. James Hutton. Hutton way down there, 22nd. He's just waiting for this race to be over. He's had enough. Hooneveld and Bauer, P10. Even if Bauer gets around, it's not going to matter. That post-race penalty will push him right back down. So for this man right here from the Netherlands, just has to hold on. Just has to stay within 15 seconds of the German. And let me tell you, that is not a difficult thing to do. That is incredibly simple. Nothing to worry about there. We have Briso pulling on through. 18th right now. The man from Portugal. Friel and Dawson. Looks like Friel has gotten around. And, oh, Dawson just missing his brake point entirely. Having to duck to get out of the way. Hansen keeping it interesting here. P4. Just about half a second between him and Bouchard. This is looking very nice. As we get just under a minute and a half. Roombouts is going to be starting the final lap here at Paul Ricard for race number 2. And there he is, the final lap call out coming in. Drivers now know that it's going to be go time. Who is going to be brave? Who is going to maybe save themselves for another day? We have Vinogradov, 20 seconds. What in the world? So an extra 5 seconds added on for collision on lap 17. That is, man, that's gotta hurt. So Cairns, Hansen, Bouchard, and I think maybe Cuthbert are close enough. So Vinogradov could go way down to 7th following the end of the race. That has got to sting. Huneveld, you don't have to really fight the position. You just got to stay within that 15-second buffer. But fight if you want the experience. I'm right there with you. Maybe that's why he's doing it. Decides that experience is far better than just letting him get away. Bouchard here, door to door. Had the slipstream pulled out to the side. The charging bull doing exactly what she's best at. And there is the pink Aston Martin. And that's just going to be it. That'll be it. It'll be Bouchard ahead of Hansen. But for how long? That is the question. They both keep it stitched quite nicely. And just keeping it within the lines. It's always terrifying to see how it's done. But ladies and gentlemen, we got to look at this man right here, right now. Rumbouts, your season 11 champion, has won the first race. And into the final corner he goes. He's going to make it back-to-back victories here at Paul Ricard. Rumbouts, starting way down the grid, it seemed like, comes across P number 1. Ivan Cairns and Eugene Vinogradov, unfortunately 20 seconds, is going to punt this man way down the grid. So Ivan Cairns will get a P2, and it looks like Bouchard onto the podium. Hansen will get P number 4, and Cuthbert a P5. Incredible stuff from him, and I think Partez might just miss out on the party. Looks like he could be staying in 7th. Ippolito has some sins to... What was the word I'm thinking of? Has some sins he's got to atone for. Abelstead could pick up that P8. Simon Bauer, oh, it was a rough afternoon for him. Crosses the line, and as people leave the server, things get a little crazy. He'll be bopped down. Huneveld, though, will be into the top 10. Fredrickson, Olberg also could be into the top 10 here. Terry, D'Angelo Layla, he's got the drive-through. He's got a server. Is it going to count, though? That's the question, because the start-finish line is before, yeah. But he didn't technically serve the drive-through, so it's 40 seconds added on. That is rough. That is never something you want. Briso there will be 16th. Nidzelski will most likely be 17th with that plus 40 as he crosses the line. Friel quite a ways back. There's Dawson. Dawson's ahead, but he'll give up that position. Hutton is going to move far down. Same with Doyle. Actually, Doyle will stay there because Fredrickson, Starkey, Stafford did not finish the race, either of them. There's Dawson. There's Friel. And the game is going to wait on Fredrickson, Starkey, Stafford, and the safety car, but well, it doesn't really matter. What matters here is Rumbouts picking up win number 2 at Paul Ricard. He's starting it off perfectly. He's doing some drifting. Maybe do some donuts for us, friend. Let's see it. Let's see the celebrations. You've earned it. But what a start we've had to the season for this man. He's looking to make it 2 in a row. The drift action, there it is. That's what we were waiting on. Right into the barrier. Is it really a drift session if you don't hit the wall at least once or twice? And driving backwards, this might be a problem. But who cares? The race is over there, the donuts. That's what we've been waiting for. Enjoy it, my friend. You have earned it. Back-to-back wins for the Dutchman. As the fireworks off in the middle of the day, of course. And there it is, another little tap into the barrier, saying hi to the track stewards there. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for us here tonight at Paul Ricard. So we are going to take another final look at the timing sheet. So race number 1 overall, it's Rumbouts, Vinogradov, Fredrickson your top 3. Into the Pro-Am we go. Beauchart, Sack, and Cairns on the podium of their class. Olberg taking home bragging rights on top of Abelstead, on Dawson and Abelstead. So 3 debut drivers here into the OR, that first race, onto the podium for their class. And of course, the silver, the unrated drivers, we've got to get through a lot of them. Some new, some old. Doyle, Hansen, Velikov, your top 3. Race number 2 overall, it's Rumbouts again. Cairns and Beauchart join him on the podium. Vinogradov bopped way down to P number 7. For the Pro-Am, it's Cairns taking it home with Beauchart and Partes joining him on that podium. Abelstead picking up number 1 for the amateur class. Huneveld and Olberg as well will be joining him. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for us tonight here at Paul Ricard. Now next week is a non-competition round, so points aren't going to matter. But hey, it's Mount Panorama. Why not go there? Why not have a little bit of fun? But that is not it for me here tonight. I got to come back in about 4 or so hours to do the North American Sprint Series. I hope to see you all there. If I don't, hey, you know where it's going to be. One final shout out, of course, to Simrigs for sponsoring the Sprint Series once again. I've already talked about them enough, but what's one more? Australia, New Zealand, they've got you covered. Outside of that, an email is all it's going to take. If you're a Patreon member, it is 5% off your in-store purchases. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for us here tonight. Back again next week. Bathurst back again with North America. I want to thank you all for stopping by. Hope you enjoy your stay. And until next time, stay safe, stay beautiful, and let's watch those track limits.